Hey guys, and the next and last Classics figure that I bought is this one, and Masters of the Universe fans need no introduction to this guy. It's Scareglow, and he was part of the original, the vintage series as well, but I never picked him up. I'm not quite sure why, because obviously he looks cool as heck and he's a skeleton, which I love, and he glows in the dark, so I think I was just getting too old for them. I just moved out and I was working on my car and doing things like this. So yeah, I never got around to it, I think. But I did have the mini comic which features him, mini comic, sorry. And that was called The Search for Keldor, which I'll pop up now, hopefully in the edit. And I had the comic because I bought Ninja, and I have a fascination for ninjas too as a kid. Back in the 80s, we all did, I guess. And that was probably one of the last figures that I bought, Ninja, because again, he was very, very cool looking. It's worth a bit on the market now, the second-hand market. And so is this guy, which is why I bought him second-hand and not a box one, because yeah, the prices are starting to really go up on these guys. Again, I got this from Rye Guy from eBay. And no particular reason why I bought this guy. He just looked cool, and I never really picked him up. And I just had an urge to grab him again because he's got a couple of cool accessories that I really dug. And I thought he'd look really, really cool just as a display, just standing in front of Castle Grayskull, I guess. But this guy is one of the first ones I'm not very good with my classics lore, but this guy was from 2008, so he was probably one of the early ones, which you can tell by the posability. I think this was before they went to Super 7, and this is Mattel. You could always tell me here if I'm wrong, but if you just look at the amount of articulation, I guess. There's no flexibility in the hands. They just turn left and right. That's about it, as you can see here. Move up and down. You've got a bit of a swivel here, and the arms do what they need to. As well, he's got this weird ab crunch as well, but it's kind of hidden with the paintwork, so that kind of works out well for him. But the big problem with this guy is his cape. Although it's amazingly sculpted, it's got a very nice kind of change from dark purple down to a translucent one here, you can see. And it's kind of flexible, but the problem is if you try to do any kind of posability with him, you'll see here, this just keeps popping up and looks ridiculous. You can't really do anything with him. As soon as you put his arms up, that's going up. Looks like he's getting choked, which is not a good idea. I mean, just as a standing figure alone, he's amazing, but for the posability and places I'm not sure where this goes, where you want to get him in, he's not very good for that kind of stuff. But he seems to be just a basic Skeletor buck from back then. I don't have the classic Skeletor, although he does look really, really cool. But it looks very, very similar to that from what I've seen online. You know, he's got some decent posability. The underwear here, that kind of blocks him a little bit too, because it's not very flexible. So yeah, his posability is not very good. And if you want to sit him in a vehicle, there's basically a no-go because of this, as you can tell, which is a huge problem. It's such a bummer. If it had been soft goods, some kind of soft material, I think this would have worked out way better. And I could probably make a custom one too if I was so inclined, and I may do down the track. But yeah, let's have a quick look here. One of the best things about him again, let's have a look at the skull. Very Skeletor style, but what I really like here, if you look at the eyes, it's got some nice detail in there. It's got his trademark little crack across the skull and the cranium up here. I think that's really, really cool. Again, he can't really move much because of he's been hamstrung by his cape, which is a real pity. He does do a little bit of turning here, and obviously the legs bent. You can tell this is almost a decade before the what was a Lodar that I bought. It's really quite a big difference, but he's a reasonably good quality construction. He's got that weirdness down there as well, but generally, no, he looks really, really cool. He's got very thick, stocky legs, I've noticed there, but he's got the 3 claws that we are all familiar with. There's a little bit of rubbing coming off here on the boot, as you can tell. Again, this guy is used, so he's in pretty good quality considering. And this buck has nipples, unlike the 40th anniversary He-Man. I don't know what they were doing with that. So, yeah, very well done in that respect. So if we have a look, so that's pretty much him. Let's have a look at his accessories. He's got some really cool stuff. Oh, this is really nice too. We've got some metallic paint, which kind of matches Loader, being blackish and purple. he kind of matches. They have a they're a good pair. They sit next to each other on the display very, very well. Some weirdness happening there on the plastic. Yeah, he's in good nick. Yeah, so he also comes with a halberd. This is not a scythe. A scythe comes out like this, like a Grim Reaper would use. But this also glows in the dark here. You can see this piece of plastic and these two here. Being such a, what is this, 2008, so yeah, over a decade old now. It's I don't know if the glow wears off, so that's a thing, but it does glow, but it's not as bright as the one that was recently released with Origins. That one glows like crazy from what I've seen on the online. But there was also a Scareglow version for the Masterverse line, which I do not like. It was just basically painted on with fluorescent type of skeleton stuff with only his head glowing. While he looked kind of cool, just wasn't doing it for me. So this was the coolest one. So that's why I purchased him. But yeah, if you see here, it's got some nice battle damage. A little bit bendy. I've got to heat it up and straighten it out again. But yeah, it's in good nick, and it's just a nice weapon. Very reminiscent of the old style stuff. It's very, very cool. So he holds this in his hand quite well too. It just kind of slides in nice and easily, which is pleasant. So yeah, he looks good just standing there, I guess, as a guardian to the underworld. Now he had a backstory given to him. What was it, for the classics range, where he was basically a thief, and he was trying to get into Grayskull all the time. Once he died, he was doomed to forever guard or wander around the castle and never get in. Which is an okay backstory, I guess, but when this guy originally came out, he was called the Ghost of Skeletor, and I'll show you a comic from Marvel back in '87 where Skeletor says the same thing. Hopefully I'll edit it in now. Okay, and I like the idea of him just being a look-alike, as Skeletor mentions, not really a ghost for Skeletor or whatever it is they've changed it to. So I like the original, the naming of it. I like him being from another dimension, being pulled from there. I think that's kind of cool. So yeah, that wasn't too bad. But yeah, the cool thing about it was, in the backstory, the updated backstory is, this is a reliquary, I think you pronounce it. This is his other little accessory. Now he's doomed to carry, this has a key inside that, and this is here is Castle Grayskull, if you see that. Isn't that cool? It's the classics version of Castle Grayskull too, which the detail is very, very cool. I appreciate that. And it's got a metal chain, which I absolutely love for these type of figures. Metal chains rule. And he's got a little bracelet clasp that actually clips onto him nice and easily so it doesn't get broken. I was thinking of getting something like this, like the Dragon Blaster Skeletor, to use as manacles before I bought Lodar. But yeah, that all worked out. So just clip it over like that. And his hand is actually designed to actually hold this quite well. Now that I've said that he's not going to hold it. No, that doesn't help. There we go. So yeah, so the backstory is, if we open this up, take that out. He's doomed to wander and hold or protect Castle Grayskull with this little key. Look how cool this is. It's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted this guy. Isn't that adorable? Look at that little fella. Now, if you've got the original, sorry, the classics castle, the really big one, there's a back door that has a secret opening, and this key actually fits in there, which I think is amazing. I like the forethought that they did with all these little figures where each one has something interconnecting into the rest. So I really like that idea. That's so cool. Look inside, it's kind of green like Xbox. Yeah, but a reliquary is basically something that holds a religious importance or something that is important in general. I never knew that, so you learn something new every day. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, he's basically doomed to carry this around, but he can never use the key to get in, but he's used it to protect the castle or something, which is cool. But I prefer the interdimensional demon type vibe and a lookalike for Skeletor. I think that's a much better idea. But he also does glow. I tried to get a picture, which I'll post later on. And I messed around Photoshop to get him up there, just to show you what he looked like. But I'll turn out the lights and see if we can get him to glow a little here. Just give me one moment. Just turn out the light and see how well he glows. This may not work at all. I'm not sure. So I don't know if the camera is showing this. The red light's glowing more than anything really, but I can see it quite well. It's glowing really, really cool, but yeah, I don't think the GoPro is liking that at all. Let's just try that again. It doesn't charge very long, and I'm hesitant to bring it out into the sun to really fully charge it for UV damage here in Australia. It destroys all sorts of plastics, unfortunately. But yeah, I thought this would just be a cool guy just to stand around Castle Grayskull as the display. But yeah, that's the last figure I'll be buying. Unless something amazing comes out in the Masterverse. But yeah, again, I'm not really a collector. This kind of got caught up in it all. But yeah, so I never had this guy, as I said, as a kid, so it's just nice to have him now. Let's see if we can turn it off again so we get that glow going. Yeah, the camera doesn't like that at all. Yeah, you see my point. He does glow. But yeah, that's Scareglow. He's a really, really cool guy. But again, if you want one of these old classic figures, I'd suggest jumping on those now, because the prices are getting up to ridiculousness. And this one was getting quite expensive too, which is why I bought one second hand. Because yeah, I'm not a boxed in. I don't really care about that stuff. I just wanted to have the character and this little chain, something else to hang on Castle Grayskull as an adornment, I guess, which I think is cool. Alright guys, so yeah, that's Scareglow. Very, very cool figure. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I've got a vehicle next, and an update in Castle Grayskull, and then back to the car. Got to get that finished this year as well. Alright, cheers. Thanks guys, thanks for watching. Actually, just for the battery room's flat, I thought I'd just pop this guy out too, just to give you a bit of a comparison as well, see what we're looking at. So here's the 40th anniversary Skeletor. You can see, again, both 7-inch figures, and they fit next to each other quite nicely. Obviously, Skeletor's nippleless, that's probably why he's so mad. But yeah, he really does sit in there in the three-toed style design. Very, very cool. And let's do my favourite skeleton. Let's put Skeletor in the middle here, so give you a bit of a vibe. Yeah, so 3 cool different skeletons. I think we'll leave it there. That's enough skeletons now. Yeah, I really dig him. This guy obviously is the most posable, but this guy's not too bad either. But this guy just looks awesome sitting on the shelf once you turn out the lights. He really does glow well. Really dig him. Only thing, as I've said about this guy as well, is skeleton toys need to have the jaw be able to open and shut. That's the only thing that really bums me out of it, this one. Obviously this guy does. Can't keep his mouth shut these days. He's got a very similar design. And this guy as well. But yeah, pretty sweet. Alright guys, this time I'll leave. Thanks guys, we'll see you later.